Well, happy holidays. Hopefully, things are going well for you and your family as we enter into this weekend before Christmas. So, I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that I had to make some changes to my class schedule for spring semester. I found out through some of the working with people who've helped me to refine and improve my research paper that I talked about last week. I found out that if I'm going to get into graduate school, which is the goal to get a master's degree in history, there's a couple of classes that I need to have that are all about learning how to research, how to be better at research, how to think critically of works, writings, and things like that. So, unfortunately, I had to drop my Old Testament class, which I'll have to take at another time. I was looking forward to that one. But so I had to drop that one to switch to another class, a History 3000 class. The whole point of the class is to learn how to write better. So I have an interfaith class. I have a senior seminar class, which is how to think critically about reading, and then I have a historical theory class, basically. So it's going to help me learn how to think like a historian, how to do research like a historian. So it should be a fun class. Get a little bit more technical, but some fun stuff that we're going to talk about. So I wanted to get into the books I'm actually starting to read my books for next semester, and I don't have to start. I think it's January 6th. Monday, January 6th, I think, is when class starts officially for spring semester. But I'm already reading the books. I'm already getting ready to um, get prepared so that I can, as I go through the class, it'll be a little easier during the rest of the semester. So the one class I want to talk about first is my interfaith class. It's a fun. I've been enjoying. If you've gone through the videos, we did that was the kind of introduction level to interfaith. This one is more in depth into interfaith stuff. And so one of the books that we've been reading is this one, Peace is Every Step. It's actually a really good book. It's composed of a bunch of lectures that this gentleman gave. Thich Nhat Hanh, I believe is how you say it. I actually have a couple more of his books on my bookshelf over here as well. He is a Buddhist monk, and he's really profound in some of the things he's talked about. Probably in our day, other than you probably rank him up there with Mahatma Gandhi, with the Dalai Lama, and those types of people as far as how much influence he has in the world. So he's got this is a small little book, nothing huge, but it's a great read that goes over what are some of the things that he has said in some of his lectures about peace and working with other people. It's a really good book. If you want just a nice book to read, just happy, good thoughts, things to just help improve your thinking, working with other people, it's actually a pretty good book. I'd recommend this one. One of the other ones that we are reading for the class as well is a book that is called With the Best of Intentions. So this has been a fun one to get into as well. I'm well into reading this book myself. That book is basically a bunch of essays. So there's like 30 chapters in the book because it's basically just 30 essays. These are stories of people who have done interfaith work or tried to, and it failed. Something didn't work out right. Something didn't happen properly. And so it's interesting to see some of these errors, some of these issues that have come up with people. A couple of the stories I've read recently, there was one of a woman who was going to do some research into Islam and went to a mosque where she could do some more, learn, and she was getting a tour of the place. Well, when she walked up to the door to go in, she was greeted by one of the imams, who's basically an Islamic priest, basically, or like a religious leader. And just because of default, she extended her hand to shake his hand. It's a common greeting in America. We just shake each other's hand as a greeting. he basically moved his hands behind his back and would not shake her hand. And at first, she thought, because she's actually, I believe she was Jewish as well. And so at first she's like, what's going on? Why is he not willing to shake my hand? What's happening? And he kind of just brushed it off and moved on with the rest of the tour. Had a great tour with her, showed her around and things, but she didn't realize till later that in Islam it's frowned upon for a man to have any physical contact with a woman that's not his family. So a woman he's not married to, or a woman that's not like his mother or sister. Basically, it's not a relative. So this is something that in some parts of Islam, they are very strict at following this. So by trying to extend, it would be in violation of his religious beliefs to shake her hand, basically. So she had no idea that she put him in a precarious situation. Do I honor a cultural custom of the country I'm living in, or do I respect my religious views? So sometimes things like that happen, and that's what this book is about: is all these different challenges that people have ran into trying to do interfaith work. So it's kind of fun to see like where have problems come up. You know, the idea of coming together in an interfaith way, whether that's, you know, raising money or doing a service project for something in the community, or even more specific discussions and dialogues among religions. Because of varying religious beliefs, there are sometimes going to be challenges. And so it's fun to hear these stories of like, oh my gosh, it regularly goes wrong. But the beauty is these aren't opportunities to say, oh, this is why we shouldn't do interfaith. These are opportunities to say, oh, let's learn more about each other and understand this, and how can we adapt in the situation to make this work for each other. So it's gonna be fun. I'm reading through those stories, kind of fun stories that they're having as well. Now another one, I haven't gotten into this book very far yet. This is a book called In the Shelter. Pull that back so you can see the whole thing. This is another book I have to read for my interfaith class. This is more of a storybook. It's about a gentleman who is trying to. I'm trying to remember all the details of it. It was a little while ago. I read the chapter, the introduction to it. But he's trying to. It's a gay man who's trying to navigate religion and culture, basically. So we'll see where this one goes. I'm not sure where this one's going to lead or what's going to happen with it. It sounds interesting. I know some people might be like, "Oh, it's a story about a gay man," so I'm gonna bow out right there. I think that's people's choice. If you want to bow out at that point, I think it's important to still not to. It's important for us to take time to learn about other people's perspectives and ideas. The more we can do that, the more we start to see commonalities and opportunities to work together. So it'll be a fun one. I'm going to stay open-minded on that one and see where it goes. I'm cautiously optimistic it's going to be a really good read. Sometimes, you worry that in situations like this, that it's going to be like, oh, this is just a bunch of propaganda. I'm not going that route. I'm hoping it's more objective than that. So far in my college experience, while there is a very strong liberal opinion in what I've seen so far. In a lot of professors are more liberal, probably more vote Democratic. There is more of that, but I can't necessarily say that they're trying to indoctrinate us in liberal thinking. I think that they're coming from where they're coming from. Just like some colleges have more of a conservative perspective. And that was more common in the 70s and 80s, a more of a conservative perspective. And it's not that conservatives were trying to push an agenda. They're just teaching from their frame of reference. So you have to be willing to give and take both directions on that. It's not bad to learn. In fact, I would recommend, if you are conservative, learn what it's like to think like a liberal, understand liberal thought. How do they come up with ideas and think through things? That'll help you to understand liberals better. And vice versa. Liberals learn how to think like a conservative. How do they come up with things? How do they see the world? How do they, when they interact with things, what beliefs and ideas are they going to have that are going to challenge or help them to make meaning of what they're experiencing? By seeing, excuse me, by seeing the world in these different perspectives, we will learn how to be better, more open-minded in working together with each other. It's not bad to learn how to think different. Take the time and understand each other, and you'll be surprised at, oh, there's actually good parts of this. There's, here's parts I disagree, but this is the parts I do agree with. This is great. You learn to come together. So that's important. Even in interfaith stuff, that's a key thing of, I'm going to learn about this other religious tradition, not because I'm trying to prove them wrong or anything, but I want to understand them. I want to learn from them and then find where are common grounds that we have. A lot of people don't realize, like a lot of people push back against Islam. Oh, Islam is bad, the 9/11, all that stuff. In actuality, Islam believes in Jesus. They don't believe he's the son of God, but they believe he is a great prophet. And just like Abraham and others. So they believe in the writings of Jesus. The teachings of Jesus are mentioned in the Quran. There's discussions that they have about his teachings because the Quran was written hundreds and hundreds of years after Christ. I think around the 800s A.D., if I remember, 600s AD maybe? No, I think it was closer to 800s AD was when the prophet was around. But anyways, I'm just saying he had the time to read and study Jesus' teachings as he was putting his teachings together as well. So there's a lot of people don't realize that there's actually a good flavor of Christianity inside Islam. That's pretty cool. So we'll probably talk about that after I get through all the Christian scriptures I've been doing the daily videos on. I'm probably going to get into reading the Quran on this channel and going through it chapter by chapter so you can understand it better as well. On top of all the other major religions like Judaism and Hinduism and them as well. So that's it for today. Hope you have a great holiday season. We'll see you next Saturday, and I'll talk about the books for one of my other classes as well.